Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Agoracom, in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives after they put out important news. With us today, happy to have him back, the Water King, Howie Honeyman, President and CEO of Forward Water Technologies, trades in Canada, FWTC. For those new to the story, and that's going to be a lot of you because it's a newly listed company and it's just getting its name out there, but it's doing unbelievable things. What do they do? Well, as the name kind of suggests, here's what you need to know. First, the global water and wastewater treatment market is projected to grow from about 285 billion last year to 465 billion in 2028. It's massive. Why? Well, the treatment guys of water and wastewater, we're hearing it all the time, is necessary for mankind, literally for mankind, to meet the demand for water resources, not only for municipal and agricultural purposes, but also for critical industrial purposes. Currently, over 40% of the global population resides in regions that are marked under critical water stress. So from municipal to agricultural to industrial, there's a problem out there. Enter Forward Water Technologies. They're commercialized their proprietary Forward Osmosis technology. What does that mean? Not very many of you know what it means. So here's basically how we describe it. It allows for the reduction of challenging waste streams and simultaneously returning fresh water for reuse or surface release. All right. The company's focus is on large-scale implementation in multiple sectors, including industrial wastewater, oil and gas, mining, agriculture, and ultimately municipal water supply and reuse market sectors. More than just lip service. They've already got a letter of intent signed with MemberCon out of the UK. We talked about that in our last interview, to deliver Forward Water's proprietary technology within the United Kingdom and Ireland. They also, within the UK and Europe, have multiple ongoing trials pending. In India, they've partnered with Goldfinch Engineering. So they've really got great coverage. And in addition to the sectors we talked about, in lithium extraction specifically, they've recently signed multiple NDAs with major lithium extraction companies. Today's press release, Forward Water and Aquaporin announced strategic partnership. Howie, so much going on. That's a mouthful. Welcome back.
Well, thanks, George. It's great being back here. And man, you've been doing your homework, so well done. Well done.
Hey, there's a lot going on. And this is exciting because we know that, this is a major problem around the world. We talk about it, we hear about it all the time. Before we get into the details of this partnership, I think what's more important to talk about first is it's another partnership with a big player in the industry. Does this mean the company is moving closer and closer to that commercial acceptance that all companies really yearn for?
Yeah, I think it's a good milestone marker for us. I mean, we've designed a commercially viable forward osmosis process, and it does exactly what you described. We tackle wastewater that is typically, it's burned, it's buried, or it's boiled today. We get rid of it. And what we do is we reclaim most of the huge volume of that wastewater as clean, fresh, reusable water. And in water-stressed regions, that's absolutely essential. But we've got a commercial embodiment of this technology, our proprietary technology that allows a commercially viable forward osmosis process. But in developing that, we also require a membrane, and that's a thin skin that allows only water to transport across it. And that's how you affect the separation between the waste and the water itself. And we found a clever way to drive that process using our chemistry that really requires very little energy input. It's highly efficient, but we still need that membrane, that little separator between the clean water and the wastewater. And that's where Aquaporin comes in. And we're working with this particular brand of membrane because we believe, from our experience and looking at all sorts of membranes, this is the best cost performance membrane that we can put our hands on today. And we have built a great relationship with Aquaporin. They're a fantastic company to work with.
Yeah, before we even talk about the tech, let's talk about Aquaporin. Is it George Com Water Tech, some guy out of, Ontario or GTA Ontario, or, tell us about why this partnership is so strategic, because it's called a strategic partnership right in the headline.
So Aquaporin was founded around a Nobel Prize winning way of channeling water across a skin. And it's using these molecules called aquaporins. And, they occur naturally. They are, in living organisms, you, me, plants, what have you. And it's the way cells bring water in and out of the cellular structure. Fast forward to today, after about $70 million of investment and about 10 years of development, The researchers and now commercialized entities and groups at Aquaporin have figured out how to embed those special molecules into a membrane. So we're actually leveraging our natural biological processes with the aid of Aquaporin, who make these into products, into devices that we use to separate water from wastewater. And it's really exciting technology. So we've got these two novel technologies that couple together that make this really powerful, commercially viable forward osmosis process. And they've been, their development has been outstanding. They've got commercial products that we can buy off the shelf. And because we built that relationship with them, they feel comfortable working with us. We're comfortable working with them. And we've decided that what we would do is form a strategic partnership to distribute their products for our processes within North America in the mining and industrial wastewater sectors. So really great relationship.
Having Aquaporin there as that partner, and the product, the membrane that you're talking about, does that open up doors within those verticals, within the jurisdictions that you're looking at?
Oh, absolutely, and in both directions. I mean, as we enter and open the doors to get in, Aquaporin is actively looking for applications as well. When they see applications where our technology fits, where we see applications where their technology fits, we're kind of co-developing business opportunities together. And it just made sense for us to be the exclusive distributor for their products in North America, because not only do we know forward osmosis processes, we know about forward osmosis membranes. And so we bring the expertise for their products as well. So they're really naturally great fit for the two companies.
What does this do for your third-party validation? Because obviously, look, you mentioned, I got my notes here, they're Nobel Prize winning tech, $70 million in R&D. We also said when we were talking off camera that they recently just started trading on the Denmark NASDAQ equivalent over there. So obviously they're very well known. They're a major player. What kind of message do you think does this announcement send to the rest of the industry when they say, hey, who are these forward water? And maybe I should be talking to Howie more.
No, that's a great thought and a great comment. I think what it does is it's going to build confidence in the clients and the adopters for our technology, that we'll be able to have long-term product availability for them. So when they buy our technology, they know they'll be able to essentially get the parts for it for a duration, and they're probably getting, well, not probably, they are getting the best in-class product on the market today through this decade of development that has been done in Europe on these Nobel Prize winning materials. So I think it builds a high confidence that people are getting cutting edge, best in class technology that they can rely on for years to come.
And in his quote, the CEO of Aquaporin, Matt, said, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but North America, lithium mining, and the oil and gas industry are three markets where our forward osmosis tech offers a new level of performance, and and so on and so forth. So you guys are really going after, it seems like, that lithium. Let's talk. Since it's in the quote, let's talk about what Forward Water is doing in the lithium world.
Yeah. So
and why?
So the global demand for lithium, if anybody's done any reading on it, the demand is going to outstrip the supply for decades, and everybody is chasing lithium. The vast amount of lithium comes from naturally occurring aquifers, dissolved lithium in water. And when it's at really low concentrations, it's really expensive to get out of that water. But when it's at really high concentrations, it's really much more affordable, much lower cost to get out of the water. And that's where Forward Water comes in and plays a role. We can take these brines, some of these naturally occurring brines sometimes it's the second step in the purification process, but they're dilute. And we can concentrate them to having super high concentrations of lithium and then make the lithium recovery more economical, right? This is something that most lithium recovery processes are going to require. And we're happy to supply our technology to aid in that lithium recovery, right? So we've got to get away from fossil fuels. That's driving the market. Demand is going to outstrip supply for decades. And we're going to make that processing cost aid in the race to the bottom of the barrel, if you will, in terms of cost. That's what Forward Water is coming in. And that's why the lithium market for forward osmosis, using our approach to forward osmosis, is a real opportunity for us. And we're getting a huge interest for our technology from the lithium producers, and we're pursuing as fast as we can.
Well, you took the words out of my mouth, because I was about to say, first of all, what kind of response you're getting, and you've got a couple of NDAs already signed. So maybe extrapolate a little bit on the response you're getting, but more importantly, any progress being made with those NDAs, because those NDAs are with major lithium extraction companies.
So some of the we have NDAs with probably well over a half dozen with large, both private and publicly traded companies.
Ah, okay.
And
so you're from 2 to 6.
Here's what surprised us. Yes, what surprised us is we are getting responses from the C-level when we reach out to these companies. The decision makers are saying, yes, if you can do this, this is something that would be of interest to us, faster than we would have ever imagined. We've moved from NDAs to, this is how our product works. We get information from these companies, again, under confidentiality, about what their specific process and pain points are. And we cooperatively, working with these companies, identify where our technology could be of value. Then we're exchanging samples. We speak today. There are samples in transit, either to our labs or from our labs, from these lithium deposits.
Wow. Okay, so you're really down the road here. You've moved way beyond talking.
Yeah, and to the point where in some cases we've issued full commercial proposals to some of these companies. Like, this is it's really interesting watching a new industry grow and thrive, right? And
then being a great technology within that new industry.
Absolutely. There's no barrier, because we're not replacing an incumbent technology. Everybody's on the build cycle right now. And so when they see something that they can add in and make their process better, they're really excited. They're pulling us in. And that's a real difference from fighting to get into, where there's already a commercially established process. Yeah. Sure, we can make it better, but that's a much different sale.
You got to prove a lot more.
It's a lot more.
You got to prove a whole
lot more momentum that you have to fight against. Yeah.
Let's talk about the business model.
We're swimming downstream. Pardon me?
Let's talk about the business model. So if I'm George Calm Lithium, I've got this, lithium deposit, lithium project, and you come along, right?
Yep.
But just generally speaking, can you give us a sense for what the revenue looks like, what the ROI looks like, just the business model? Because look, it's still a new story. We want to keep telling that story to people.
Yeah. So, one of the things that we've learned is we are an emerging technology, and we can use all of our data that we have to convince people that everything's going to work out just exactly as we had indicated. But we also found that there was still a level of risk associated with bringing us on. So what we've done is we've adopted the business model that's very similar to the industrial gases model. We're going to use a build, own, operate model. That means we're going to build the technology into a black box and deliver that black box to site, hook up the dirty water on one site, hook up the clean water to the other side of the black box. We own the black box, we run the black box and understand what's in there, and we simply charge a service fee, right? Under a contractual obligation, they will send us water to treat, like the supplier on site, and we will send them clean water in return and eliminate the tiny amount of waste.
So you're not forcing me to make a massive capital expenditure and take a risk.
Correct.
It's a service. You're servicing.
It's a service model. And the win for us is, once we establish that capital, we get two huge benefits. One is we get an ongoing continuous revenue stream, which is exciting, right? Under a contract. So it's defined. Secondly, when we make improvements to our technology inside the black box, we harvest the advantage. If we make the process further and further more efficient, that's to our benefit, because that's how we make our margins, right? And so there's lots of technology development that can go on. We can make the process more efficient. We can reduce CapEx as we learn how to build, the 5th, the 10th, the 15th plant, right? And we will then we reap the benefits of those improvements. So ongoing revenue stream, opportunity for improved margins as we build on the technology, and the client takes on perceived less risk. And I think there is substantially less risk.
I love that model. Because you're taking the risk on yourself. You're not going to go through that massive capital expenditure to install the system if you don't think it's going to work. So the natural inference is, hey, if Howie's coming in to hook this up at George Calm Lithium's facility, hey, no risk to me. He's going to save me water. I'm going to get this, and he's taking on the risk. Sure, come on in.
That's what it does. Is it takes down the barrier of the risk to getting on site.
Very smart.
And yeah, you're absolutely right. We're going to have enough insight to say, you know what, this application does not work for us, and more viably, we're going to say, yes, we know how to make this application sing, and we're going to be able to come in and be profitable from day one. We've worked very hard on our capital expense as is. We think that we can probably hit a 2 or 3 year payback, sort of an industry standard, with the opportunity to make that even better. So we'll be generating positive cash flow inside 24 months once we put these plants on site. And the goal is to put these under 5-year contracts that are renewed.
Yeah, right? and you took the words out of my mouth. Do you think you'll be cash flow positive in a couple of years? Do you think in 2022? And I'm not asking you to make a projection. We're not going to stick you to it. But do you think you'll actually be have installs sometime in the second half of 2022?
George, we wake up every day thinking, how are we going to get to that first, second, and third install? That is everything that we're doing. I think it's completely reasonable for us to see in our first fiscal year out of the gate with at least one commercial install, and this is beyond a pilot or something of that order. That's our goal. That's our stated goal, and I think there's an opportunity to exceed that. So, yeah, I mean, we spent 5 years under private funding, eliminating the engineering risk. We're building a commercial unit now that we can use as a commercial scale demonstration unit as part of our use of funds. So we know how to build these things, we can build them, and we are going to place them on site as soon as possible. And we believe that that's ultimately going to lead it into a commercial sale. Let
me talk about the flip side. What if everything goes great and the first one is so good that A, George Cullen Lithium loves it, and B, I'm telling my partners, because it's a tight industry, right? And I'm telling my partners, my other guys, and with lithium projects in other parts of Canada, North America, so and so, I say, you got to call Forward Water. Can you guys scale up, or does that become a cash crunch where you got to raise money?
It would certainly become a cash crunch, and then creating that Hollywood problem is ultimately would be, a huge success for us, and we're looking for that. But let's imagine, imagine, I can't say with any certainty, but let's imagine we get there. We do have options. So we can clearly go for a private placement and generate cash flow that way. There are groups that we've been in contact with that will provide capital to carry out these projects under certain constraints. So there is a way to triage that problem very quickly.
You can even royalty if you want, right? You can go raise money and say, hey, George, give us a couple $1 million and we'll give you this return steady for the next 5 years.
Right. And so I think those tools, financial tools are out there. Everything hinges on us being able to get a commercial plant contract signed and underway. And that is what I get up in the morning thinking about how I'm going to get that done. And I go to bed at night thinking about what I'm going to do tomorrow to get that done. And that's what the whole team's about. We're making great progress along the business development. We're talking about it in the office today. This isn't a knock on the door and ask the person who answers if they want to buy something from your pots and pans set. This is building strong relationships with potential users, understanding their application needs, ensuring by exchanging samples and technical information that we can do that. And we're building those relationships. And as I said, we're beginning to issue full-scale commercial proposals, and we're working with those clients to sign those. Yeah.
And sometimes now, and just thinking about what's possible. I mean, this market's just gonna grow out of control, right? There's the demand for your kind of product the next 5-10 years is going to be big, right?
It is, and it's, as your intro said, I mean, water is becoming increasingly being put under the microscope, and it should be. And we know that Europe's further ahead than we are. We know that India with 20% of the world's population and 4% of the world's fresh water and dwindling supplies, those areas are leaps and bounds ahead of where we are here in North America in terms of regulatory requirements and
that's probably because we have newer wastewater treatment system. Europe is, some of those systems are hundreds of years old. India doesn't even have So I guess there's a greater demand over there, right?
There's a greater demand. There's also a greater sense of the value that water has. I mean, it's North America, Canada especially. It's difficult to understand water scarcity, real water scarcity, but it's there, and we have a technology that can address it. You see water scarcity in places like the United States. It's quite routinely on the news in the southwestern United States.
All the time.
Colorado,
I see it. California, Nevada, Arizona.
The Colorado River is going to dry up. The Bow River is going to dry up in Calgary, all because of water overuse, climate change, and all that. So yes, the market for our type of technology will grow. Yes, we're going to play a role in water preservation, which I think is great. It's disheartening to have to say that, though, but we're there to help out. That's what we're going to do.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
That's not your fault. And if you can solve a problem and generate shareholder value, that's going to be great.
And I think that's the way you need to look at clean tech now, right? Because this wasn't the way clean tech was 10, 20 years ago. You have to do both. You have to provide shareholder value, and you have to provide value to the planet, right? So I think we can weave those two things together, and we're going to deliver that to the industrial world here.
Yeah, and I think our next interview should be like a review of your PowerPoint, kind of showing people on your deck. No, I think it'd be great to help people visualize on your deck through a presentation how the tech works and why it's so important. But look, clearly you're signing LOIs, you're signing partnerships, you've got all over the world. So it's only a matter of time, and I can't wait until we have that first full install, even beta kind of install interview together. But in the meantime, you guys doing amazing things. How you got amazing technology. You're attracting the attention of great companies like Aquaporin, right? Who's obviously a very serious enterprise. You're just not going to mess around with just
absolutely. And those LOIs, I think that speaks to the fact that when people come listen to our technology, really understand it, they're engineers on the other side. That's why we're getting the traction, the progress, because they see this as a real viable approach to doing it. We are getting the traction that you mentioned, and I will be as excited as you are when we're talking about that first commercial install together. So,
well, congratulations. I mean, we're going to celebrate that, but in the meantime, we're even going to celebrate this. Another great partnership. Last time was the LOI with Membercon, Goldfinch in India. You guys just keep making those great incremental leaps and bounds. So congratulations on this, Howie. Thanks very much, George. Yeah, it's a fun ride for sure. For everybody at home, you've been watching or you've been listening by podcast on Spotify, Google, Apple, your favorite podcast platform, to Howie Honeyman. He's president and CEO of Forward Water Technologies, trades in Canada, the stock symbol FWTC. For those new story, and especially for those of you who are both who love the resources sector and lithium, but also understand the need for wastewater treatment and for this kind of solution, this is a great company for you to do your due diligence on. Get to the company's profile page on Agoracom to get the 1,000-foot overview, and then head over to the Forward Water website and do your deep dive due diligence. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. See you next time. Hey guys, the video's over, but don't forget to help your company by liking it and even leaving a comment below. And then don't forget to help yourself by subscribing to our YouTube channel so you never miss another great Agoracom small cap video.